It is 7 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started. So my name is Dundrup, and I'm the SPC here at Tubten Building. So I just wanted to take a moment to welcome Venerable Nyima to our virtual Gompa. We hope maybe at some point in the future we can invite her to our physical space here in Santa Fe, but unfortunately we're just virtual, just on Zoom for now. Venerable is a new teacher for us to our faculty. So we are grateful that she was able to accept our invitation to teach. Venerable trained at Sravasti Abbey for a number of years and has actually taken full ordination, which is rare for anyone really to take. So we benefit from being able to have someone who's holding the full ordination vows at our center as well, which is a very special and very rare opportunity for us. So I'm grateful again that Venerable was able to offer these classes, and we do hope that this association between our center continues for many years into the future. So thank you so much. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Venerable. You've been so kind with your words. I'm very happy to be here, and I welcome every one of you to what I hope would be a fun and open discussion about our feelings right about now. But before we go into that, I want to let you know that we are experiencing right where I am right now, very heavy winds. So we have kind of a windstorm outside, and it's howling. And so sometimes when we have these high winds, sometimes we lose power. So we have power outages sometimes. So I just want to caution you, if I fade, if I go away, that you please understand that, we experience some gross impermanence with our electricity. So anyway, so let's start by setting our mind and body in a most propitious state for what we're about to do, this sharing, this talk. And so we can do what we call a purification breathing. Yeah, for a few minutes. We're just gonna imagine, right where we are sitting, we're gonna get comfortable. And we're gonna imagine that we're just breathing a lot of light. And we're bringing this white light, we're bringing the white light into our body, into every a cell of our body, right? And as soon as that light enters our body, we experience this great joy, this great relaxation. Yeah. Our stress, our anxiety just melts away. And when we exhale, we imagine that out of our nostrils come out black smoke. Yeah? And that black smoke takes away all of our fears, all of our distractions, whatever problems arose during this day. Yeah. Whatever negativity we've created, everything is exhaled with the breath. Yes. And as soon as that black smoke leaves our body, it sort of vanishes. It doesn't exist anymore. It's gone. And so when this happens, we're going to notice that our body gets more relaxed and our mind gets more focused. So that's the point of doing this breathing. Yeah. So let's do that for just a few moments to set our mind and our body in a good space for the talk. So we can start just a few breaths, breathing in light white light penetrates our entire body from head to toe. And then we exhale. And we imagine that we're exhaling this black smoke. And again, we breathe in deeply. All that light comes in, bringing peace of mind and purification, freedom from worry and stress. And then we exhale. And all of the negativities go away. Let's do this just a few more times. And we begin to feel the effect on our mind and our body as we breathe in and breathe out. And now that our mind is a little bit more peaceful and our body is a little bit more relaxed, we can then think about our motivation. Yeah, with a mind that is clear and calm. And we can think about why we're here. Yeah. And of course, our topic today and for the next few sessions is going to be about how we can navigate these tumultuous times, these difficult times. Yeah? What kind of tools the Dharma gives us? Because we want to be happy. We want to be able to have the best conditions. We want to be able to enjoy our life, what we're doing. And we want to be able to have peace of mind so that we can practice the Dharma. And we realize that the only way, that we can be productive and beneficial to all those around us is if we have a productive way to deal with whatever challenges we encounter. So the more tools that we gather, the more that we learn and practice the Dharma, the better off we are going to be, not just for our own sake, but also for the sake of all those around us. Because nobody enjoys being around someone who is tense and stressed and anxious all the time. How can we bring happiness and peace to the people we care about, to those around us, if we don't have peace and happiness in our mind? So it behooves us to try, to achieve that state of peace and calm, relaxation, compassion, wisdom, not just for our own sake, but for the sake of all beings. And for that reason, we are here. And so let's open our heart. Let's open our heart so that we can then receive the wisdom of the Buddha, the teachings of the Buddha in our heart, where they can begin to transform us from the inside out. And then we can really be a force for peace and benefit. Let that be our motivation then for tonight. And as we settle into that motivation, as it becomes part of our heart and mind, let's bring to mind the Buddha. Let's try to visualize the Buddha in the space in front of us and all sentient beings around us. And realizing that the Buddha is really our guide, our protector. Then let's take refuge. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. On my merits of listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha to benefit transmigratory beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my merits of listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha to benefit transmigratory beings. I take refuge until I'm enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my merits of listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha to benefit transmigratory beings. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May all sentient beings be free of suffering and its causes. May all sentient beings now be separated from sorrowless bliss. And may all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free of attachment and aversion. Okay. So let's dive right into our topic tonight. Yeah. So, in a way, there is really there's no denying that we live in difficult times. And it's this belief that we live in difficult and tumultuous times that has brought us, all of us, here tonight, right? Many people, not just us, but many people around the world are having this same feeling right about now. Yeah. This is a feeling of impending doom. Young people, mature people, older people alike. We all have this sort of fear and anxiety about what's to come. Yeah. And there may be for some of us some kind of a feeling of dissonance because we're at the dawn of a new year. Yeah. And usually a new year comes with expectations, with anticipation for everything new that's coming. I mean, it's usually a wonderful celebration. In many countries, people just go all out and celebrate the new year in so many ways, right? But instead of that celebratory mood, now we're filled with anxiety and fear. Yeah. And then we tell ourselves, well, we have good reasons for being afraid. We have good reasons for being anxious. Huh? After all, we are facing this huge problem of climate change. We have a war going on in Europe, yeah? And some people think that that war is the beginning of World War III. I mean, you read that in the news, right? And then, of course, we have to contend with the rise of the far right in many nations in the world. Yeah, many nations in Europe are right now sort of having a resurgence of nationalism, ultra nationalism. Yeah, there's global economic issues, not just in the United States, but in other parts of the world, Europe. Yeah, and now, of course, we are at the beginning of a 4-year term of an unpredictable administration. Yeah. So this is just a few of the challenges, yeah, that we're sort of facing at this moment. And because of that, it's just very easy to then extrapolate and think, wow, the world as we know it is gone. It's going to be gone. Yeah. The country that we know and love is going to be gone. Everything is going to change. And then doom and gloom. Yeah. And it's like a loop, you know? I remember those LPs when they had music in um, those vinyl long player discs, and one of them got scratched, and then it would be this eternal loop for the song. I mean, I'm dating myself, but that's kind of like what we have in our mind right now, is that eternal loop of doom and gloom of the disc scratched, the scratched disc. Yeah. And so we have to recognize, okay, that's where we're at. Yeah, this is where I am standing as an individual right now. I am holding this fear. I am holding this anxiety about the future. Yeah. Given everything that's happening everywhere, I'm feeling anxious. Yeah. That's really the first step, is to recognize and accept what we are feeling. Yeah. Is not to deny and hide it or feel ashamed. We don't have to feel ashamed, huh, of our feelings. Yeah. It doesn't help. What does help is for us to recognize and accept it. Yeah. And then try to work with it to transform. Yeah. But at the same time that we recognize and accept, yeah, we can also say, we can also recognize and accept that perhaps the way that I'm feeling right now is not the best way. Yeah, that there is another approach to what I'm experiencing. Yeah, that does not include fear and anxiety and panic and dread. Yeah, because this fear and anxiety and panic, they cause more suffering. Yeah. So in addition to whatever suffering we are experiencing, we are adding more suffering with our fear and anxiety. Yeah. And the fear and anxiety is a suffering that can be avoided. We can eliminate that. We may not be able to eliminate other sufferings at this moment, but the fear and the anxiety is something that definitely can eliminate or reduce. Yeah. So acknowledging that, recognizing that's a good first step. Yeah. And here, I just want to make a parenthesis here. I want to make a little aside here. Yeah. To broaden our view. Yeah. To expand our view a little bit. Because when we are in the midst of fear and anxiety, our view is very narrow. Yeah. It's very narrow. And it usually only involves me and mine. It's a very narrow focus when we have 6 billion human beings, not counting all the other species on this planet. Yeah. And we're only talking about, what we are experiencing now. So let's amplify a little bit to kind of put things in a different perspective. Yeah. We think the reason why we're anxious and afraid is because we think this is a very bad time to be alive with all these challenges. How are we going to cope with that? Right? This is a very bad set of circumstances that we're living through. Yeah. So we need to challenge that view a little bit. We need to challenge that belief a little bit. Yeah. Because we may be wrong in that regard. Yeah. And the reason and the way to notice how we are wrong is to just review history, not even ancient history, but just more recent history, right? And we can say, yeah, for example, those people who lived through the dark ages, well, they lived in difficult times. Yeah. They had very little medicine, very little schooling, very little education, no sanitation, no community services to speak of. Yeah. They lived in really dire situations. Yeah. How about those who lived through the plague? We just went through pandemic, right? So how about those who lived through the plague? They lived through very difficult time. I mean, I did a little bit of a research, right? And according to the University of Iowa, right, about 25 million people died in Europe as a result of the bubonic plague, right? In comparison, roughly 7 million people died as a result of COVID-19. 7 million, yeah, mostly due to our better way of handling the science that we have right now. And the fact that, we have sanitation, we have people who came up with a vaccine, we have doctors, all kinds of things going for us. It really kept the death toll very, very small compared to the 25 million. Now, if you look at the number of people that were alive during the plague, there were a lot less people alive in this planet then. So the 25 million might have been a bigger percentage of the population at that time. Yeah. Compared to the 7 million that died during COVID, when we're looking at 6 billion people in the world, I mean, that might be a smaller chunk of the population. So then we have to ask ourselves, okay, who was worse off? Us or them? Yeah. How about those people who had to live through the Civil War in the US? Yeah. Or either of the world wars, 1 or 2, the Holocaust, slavery. Yeah. Those were very difficult times for some people. Very difficult. Life and death. situations. Yeah. So, and then we have things like the Crusades. Yeah. So many millions of people died. So all these are examples of difficult times. Different people, different generations, different societies went through. So we cannot claim to be the only worst case of difficult and challenging situations, right? We were not that special. We'd like to think that we are so special, that we are the ones who are going through very tough times. But when we look at history, that's not the case. It doesn't bear truth, right? It's not the case. So for all those folks who lived through those periods, it was a matter of life and death. And here, so we can see that it's really a matter of perspective. Yeah. The reason why we feel like we're confronting such a huge challenges is because we're only looking at our perspective right now. Yeah. We're looking at it from where we are sitting right now. It's about us. It's about me. It's about mine. Yeah. But let's look then. Let's change our perspective again. And let's look at our situation. I mean, I'm going to just take a look at all of you here. I can see some of you. Please forgive me looking directly at you, but I see you in a very comfortable space, looking at your computers. Yeah, you all look healthy. You all look quite energetic. Yeah, you all look like you have some very good circumstances in your life. Yeah, you look well educated. Yeah, so where does the problem lie? Yeah, we're in the safety of our homes. We have plenty of food. By looking at you, I can see you have plenty of food. You have jobs, you have careers, you have families. And in our societies, we have agencies that support us when we need help. Yeah. And most importantly, we have the Dharma. We have found the Dharma. Huh? We have the three jewels in our lives. We have teachers. We have spiritual teachers. We literally have everything we need. Huh? So let's sit for a moment and contemplate what we have. Yeah, let's take an inventory of all the things that we have going on in our lives that are positive. Yeah. We may have one or another health problem, but we're alive. We're not starving. We're not facing a starvation. We're not in the middle of a war, etc., etc. And more importantly, we have the Dharma. We have the three jewels. So for the next couple of minutes, we're going to do this exercise of each one of us just taking an inventory of all the good things in our lives, especially the Dharma. Okay, let's do that for the next couple of minutes. So this is the first antidote. This is the first antidote to counter the gloom and doom in our minds, our fear and anxiety. Yeah, is rejoicing and everything that's wonderful in our lives, especially rejoicing at the good fortune to have the Dharma. Yeah, because that is such a rare occurrence in the world. A precious human life is a rare occurrence. Yeah? A precious human life is a human life that includes the Dharma. Yeah? And it is said that having such a life is like a beggar, a pauper, finding a huge treasure. Yeah? So we should feel like we found a huge treasure having the Dharma in our lives. Yeah? Not everyone in the world today can say that. Yeah. I also did some research about this. Yeah. And out of the 6 billion people in the world today, yeah, only about 6.6%, yeah, are said to be Buddhist. And this was an estimate by the World Population Review. Yeah. 6.6% have found the Dharma. That's a very small number. Yeah? It's a very small number. And of course, we probably have heard the analogy of the blind turtle, yeah, where we have this huge ocean. We imagine that the world is just a huge ocean, and in that huge ocean, there's one turtle at the bottom of the ocean, and then on the surface, there's a ring of gold. And the ring of gold is floating on the surface, moved by the wind and the waves. And the turtle is just at the bottom doing turtle things. And this blind turtle only comes up once every 100 years. And so it is said that having a precious human life, a human life where you have the Dharma, where you found the Dharma, yeah, it's as rare as it would be for that turtle, for that blind turtle that comes up to the surface every 100 years to come up and put its head right in the middle of that ring, golden ring, that is just free floating all over that huge ocean. And when we contemplate that analogy, then we have to think, okay, how often would that happen? That those two things would converge at the same time on the same spot in that huge ocean. And the conclusion, of course, is that that's very rare. So we can rejoice that we have found this very, very rare opportunity with the Dharma in our lives, right? So every day when our mind goes into anxiety mode or fear mode, we can switch gears, yeah? First by rejoicing in all the good things that we have, and then thinking about our great fortune. We have the Dharma, we have tools, yeah, we have the Buddha, the 3 jewels in our lives. Yeah? And they are the source of every happiness and joy. Yeah? So that's something that we can do right now, at any moment, at work, at the grocery store, yeah, at home when we're confronted with fear. Immediately, we can just remember, okay, I'm going to switch gears right now. and start challenging these arising thoughts. Yeah? And then if we look at our situation right now, as we were doing a moment ago, yeah, we're not under any threat of any kind. Our lives are not in danger at this moment. Yeah. So what's the problem? The problem is not really what's happening out there. You see, when we start looking at our life and our circumstances, where we are right now, then we begin to see the problem does not lie with the outside. The problem is what's happening in our mind. The problem is how our mind is working with our experience, how our life is processing our experience. Yeah. The problem is the anxiety and the fear themselves. Yeah. That are arising in the mind. So during our 4 sessions, we're going to try to just look at this fear and anxiety from different perspectives. Yeah? And go through some of those tools that the Buddha gave us, yeah, to help us manage the mind, to help us transform the mind. Yeah? And so today we're looking at things that we can do right away. The so-called low-hanging fruit. Yeah, things that we can put in place immediately. As soon as we go home, as soon as we turn off the computer, yeah, we can put in place these antidotes and begin to get some relief, some benefit. Yeah. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And then in the later sessions, we're going to talk about more of the long-term approaches. Yeah. Things that we can cultivate over a longer period of time. So we already tested the antidote of rejoicing, yeah? And it works. It works. It's really helpful, very powerful. We don't use it near enough, yeah? So I'd encourage you between now and the next session to start rejoicing more and more and more, yeah? And of course, the other thing that we can do is, along with the rejoicing, is not only we rejoice that we have the Dharma in our lives, but enumerate all the other positive things that we have going for us. Yeah. And remembering that the real source of happiness and joy is the Dharma. Not anything that's outside. Not anything in the external world. So now let's look at how we generate anxiety and fear. How are those generated in our mind? Yeah. So anxiety and fear are afflicted mental states. Yeah? They're afflictions. They are a form of aversion. And aversion is generated due to exaggeration and projection. Yeah? So the definition, it does help to keep in mind the definition of aversion. Yeah? So aversion is an afflicted mental state that exaggerates the negative qualities of an object and projects negative qualities that the object does not have. Yeah? And based on that exaggeration and based on that projection, yeah, we want to get rid of that. We want to get rid of that object. We want to get rid of the situation. We push it away, right? And all the time that we're doing this, we are thinking that we are really seeing those bad qualities in that object. We are convinced that the bad qualities exist in that object out there. And we have no clarity to the fact that it's our mind that is exaggerating and projecting. Yeah. So our mind is deluded as to the nature of that object. Of course, we say object, but it can be a person, it can be a situation. Yeah. So that's how this affliction works. Because remember, the affliction is based on ignorance, right? And ignorance is a confused state. It's an active misperception of everything that we are seeing and experiencing. Yeah. And so in this particular case of aversion, we are seeing negative qualities that that object does not have. And as a result, all we do is we push it away. We generate this strong aversion, yeah, which then devolves into fear, anxiety, dread, panic, all the gamut. Yeah, the gamut. Yeah. So here in our case, we are exaggerating and projecting a lot of negativity into what the future holds, the next 4 years, for example. So we don't know what's going to happen in the next 4 years, but we're pretty sure it's going to be bad. Yeah? We're pretty sure the world as we know it is gone, is going to die, is going to, yeah, we're sure. That's where the projection comes in. That's where the exaggeration comes in. Yeah. We're sure we're going to end up homeless with no health care. Social Security is going to be kaput. There's going to be World War III. And the more that we exaggerate, the more anxious we become. Yeah. The planet will be destroyed by climate change. Huh? So all these exaggerations over and over and over, and no wonder we're panicky. No wonder. Yeah. Blood pressure high. And then we go to eating. I don't know if you're like me, but I eat. Stressed out, I eat. All the things that I don't need to eat, I eat that are not good for me. Yeah. Other people go shopping. Yeah. I mean, look at people are complaining about the high prices of everything, but they're stressed out and they go shopping. And then they get more stressed out because now they have more credit card debt because they are handling that anxiety through shopping. It's like crazy, isn't it? Crazy. And that's one thing that happens when we are under the influence of fear and anxiety. We do crazy things that then cause more problems for us, right? We do crazy things because our mind is not very stable, yeah, during those times. Mm. So then the mechanism in the mind is that once we start exaggerating and projecting, yeah, then the mind does not let go of that. We begin to ruminate, yeah, and then all the thoughts continue to just go round and round like a merry-go-round in our mind. And the more that happens, the more the anxiety grows, right? So, but not only is that what happens in the mind, right? But we also do that with our speech. Yeah. For example, yeah, with our friends. You know, of course, because we tend to have friends that think like us. I mean, that's why they're friends. They think like us, they act like us, they have the same taste, they live similar lives. I mean, there is some affinity between us and our friends. And so it stands to reason that when we talk to our friends, we start talking about the things that we are all afraid of. And then I tell them, I'm afraid about this. Oh my God, my job, my savings. Yeah, everything is so expensive. And then your friends tell you, yes, that's true. And I'm afraid about this. And I'm afraid about that. And we're all talking about our fears. And that's our conversation. We're feeding each other's fears and anxieties. And then you hang up your phone. Again, I'm dating myself. I'm hanging up the phone. Just right now it's just a click. So, and when you finish that conversation, you now have more anxiety. Huh? You have higher blood pressure after you finish the conversation. You don't feel any better, but you started to talk to your friend thinking that you're going to feel better, but no, you don't. Because you were talking about all your fears or your anxiety and how awful this is and how awful that is and da. Yeah, before you know it, you're just feeding each other's anxiety. Yeah. So that's one mechanism. Yeah. The other mechanism is we read the news. Yeah. We read all of the news. But what's happening in the world? What's happening in the US? What's this person doing? What's the president-elect saying? Yeah. What's he not saying? What is he doing? What is he not doing? What kind of a horrible comment? What kind of this other person said? What the congressman said? What they did in Ukraine? What the Ukrainians are doing? What are the Russians doing? And the Chinese? Oh my goodness. And before we know, we're just feeding ourselves more of what makes us anxious and afraid. Yeah. It's like we are poisoning ourselves through our speech, through what we read, through what we think. Yeah. And then we say, oh no, I'm just venting. And I'm just looking for information because, if I have information, then I can deal with this thing better. But that's not what's happening. Yeah. We're not venting. We're feeding our fear. Uh-huh. Yeah. So then, yeah, some of the things that we can do right now to help alleviate our fear is stop talking about those things. When you talk to your friends and the conversation starts devolving into the same old complaining, same old fear making, yeah, you stop. And let's talk about the good news. Let's talk about something happy. Let's talk about the Dharma. Let's talk about something that's productive. We stop the feeding mechanism. We're just not going to talk about that in that way. No, it's not good for me. It's not good for the other person. I'm going to have to start reducing the amount of news, bad news that I am consuming as a way to help myself. Yeah, I'm not going to be reading. I mean, I did this. Okay, I'm telling you because I've done this. It's not like I'm just making it up. And, I started noticing that the news that I was reading, yeah, they were all feeding my anger. I don't know whether that was conscious or subconscious. Yeah, but I was doing it as a way to kind of like I gotta do something about what's going on. And therefore I'm gonna read this news. And these news are all gonna they all support my point of view, and they're all angry about what's going on. And the more that I read the angry news, the angrier I got. And then until I pick it up, I picked up that all of these news were about anger. It's like I'm no longer gonna read that. I'm gonna read something nice. So let's start evaluating what is it that we're reading and what's the message buried in that story. Is it a message about anger? Or is it a message about hope and strength? About resilience? About help? About compassion? About wisdom? Hmm? Yeah. But it's very difficult for us to police ourselves, right? It's very difficult for us to discipline ourselves because there's this thought, this curiosity. I want to see what other people are saying and thinking. But we tend to gravitate towards people who think and say the same things that we think and say. So it's again that feeding loop. And we have to cut that feeding loop for the sake of our peace of mind. Yeah. So then those are other antidotes. Yeah. We talked about the rejoicing. We talked about taking stock of all the good things that we have, our wonderful fortunes, that we have the Dharma, the three jewels, and all the other things that are going well in our lives. And now we're talking about, okay, let's stop the mental rumination. Let's stop thinking about the bad things. Instead, let's talk about good things. Yeah, when I talk to my friends, let's talk about hope and optimism. When I read, let's not read bad news. Let's read things that are, again, hopeful and optimistic. So those are things that we can start doing now, all of this week. Yeah, after this class, let's try to do that. So now we're talking about mental and verbal actions. Yeah. So let's look about what happens to our body. Yeah. So this antidote so far, we're talking about the antidotes that we can apply with our mind and with our words. Yeah. So let's talk about our body. Now, what happens to our body when we generate and feed fear and anxiety? What happens? I also can tell you that from my own experience. Tension. Tension everywhere in the body. High blood pressure. Yeah. Headache. Digestive problems. You name it. Because we are feeding our body stress. Yeah. And we become really tense, really agitated, irritable, sullen, in despair. All that is what we're feeding our body to, not just our mind. Because we know there is this very intricate and close relationship between mind and body. Yeah. So we may get headaches and panic attacks and just this general sense of unease and dread, which is transferred to the body. And I bet you, if at any point in time during your day, you stop and take stock of your body, you're going to sense all these areas of tightness, all these areas in your body where you're storing all that stress, all that fear. Yeah. So then another one of our tools is during the day, let's take some moments to observe our body. Yeah, see, what's happening in my body right now? Because 99.99% of the time, we are disconnected from our body, completely disconnected. We have no idea what's happening in the body. Our mind is too busy worrying about the future, thinking about the past, exaggerating, projecting, or sometimes just completely disconnected in some kind of a dreamland. Yeah. But very, very seldom in connection with the body, right? So we're now going to do an exercise for the next 10 minutes or so, 10 or 15 minutes, yeah, to connect with the body, and find some relaxation. Help the body release the tension that we've put into it. Yeah? And this is something that we can do anytime, anywhere. Yeah. We don't even have to be sitting down like we're now, right? But we're going to do a sitting down at this moment. And we're going to make sure that we have a straight back. We're not going to go necessarily into full meditation position, but we could. It would be very helpful, but we don't have to right now. But if you're sitting on a chair or on the sofa, try not to put your back, do not lean back against the sofa. Yeah. Just try to kind of sit mostly at the edge with your back straight. Yeah. And just make sure that you have contact with the floor. If you're sitting on a cushion, that's fine. And you're in contact with the floor. But we're going to try to get grounded too. We're going to try to get grounded. And then we're going to do this exercise of relaxation, connecting with the body. Okay. So let's start. We're going to do that for just maybe 10 or 15 minutes, something like that. So let's notice our breathing. Let's just make sure our back is straight, our feet are in contact with the ground. Yes. And first, we're going to just notice our breathing. Sense the air coming in and out. And sort of enjoy the breath in and out. Yeah, in and out. And now we're going to just switch a little bit to our feet. And we're going to feel that ground. We're going to feel that contact. If we're on a cushion, we're just going to feel the way that contact with the ground happens through the body parts that are contacting the ground. We're just going to feel that. Yeah? Feel that earth underneath, supporting us. And from that contact with the ground, we're going to sense and notice our feet. We don't usually pay attention to our feet. It's a body part we ignore. So let's pay attention to our feet now. And let's communicate some joy to our feet. And give our feet, a suggestion to relax. We breathe into the feet. The toes, let's not forget those toes. And feel those feet relax. And then we bring our attention upwards. We focus on the area between our knees and our foot and our feet, that area. And we notice if there is any tension there, we notice the sensations, whether or not we have contact with a piece of clothing or maybe socks. We feel connected to that part of our body. And again, we transfer some joy and we give that part of our body a suggestion to relax. And then we feel the relaxation. And we breathe into it. It's like we're saying hello to our body. And if we have sore knees, let's connect with our knees. And try to feel those bones that are just, can get so worn out with our activities of our whole life. The knees get very worn out. So let's feel those knees. And also let's send some good thoughts to those knees. Try to notice, is there any pain there or any tension around the knees? How are they today? Send them some oxygen. And then we focus on the area between the hip and the knee. So we bring our attention upward, between the hip and the knee. These are very big muscles there. All the largest muscles in our body are in that area. And I tend to put a lot of tension there. So let's notice, do we have tension there? How are they feeling? And let's give them a suggestion to relax and feel that all those muscles are relaxing. The tension is leaving, is going, is melting away. And again, you send oxygen to the area and some joy. And now we realize that every muscle from our knee, our hip, all the way to our toesy toes, is relaxed. We feel that relaxation. It's like a weight has dropped from our lower extremities. Weight is dropped. And then we come to our belly, another area where we put a lot of stress. How we do an investigation. How are those organs feeling? Our intestines, our colon. Let's look at our kidneys in the back, our buttocks. How's that whole area doing today? And we give them again a suggestion to relax. Everything is fine. Everything is good. And again, we feel this relief. We can visualize all those organs sort of relaxing. The muscles around our belly also relax. And we send to all that area, we send oxygen to all of that. And then we come to our chest. And we do the same thing. And we include the lungs in the back too. Let's not leave them out. Our rib cage, sternum. Try to put in the liver, the stomach, pancreas, all of that. Let's look at all those organs. Very vital organs. It's very important places here. Let's give them the importance they have. And let's send them joy and oxygen and relaxation. Everything is good. Everything is good. And then we take our arms. We handle the arms from our shoulder all the way to our fingers and do the same thing. And we move up to the neck. Again, another area where we can store a lot of tension. And from there, we go to our jaw. Gosh, this is a lot of problems for a lot of people. This area of the mouth. We clench, we grind. It's a lot of tension and pain that can be developed in those joints as a result. Let's make sure, our jaws are relaxed. And then we do the rest of our head. Same way. And now let's just feel the difference in our whole body. Yeah. Let's feel the difference in our entire body. And let's observe also the difference in our mental state. Let's take note of how we feel physically and mentally after we've done this exercise. So this is a tool that we can use throughout the day, at any moment. If we are at work and we're having a tough day, geez, let's take 10 minutes in our office and do this. It will make a huge difference in how we can manage our day, our difficulties. Because our mind will be in a very better space and our body will be in a better space. Okay. So this is one way to counter anxiety using the body, working with the body. So it has that double benefit of helping the body and helping the mind. Okay. So we're going to move on to the next consideration. And when we're talking about fear and anxiety, it's very helpful to differentiate between danger and fear. Danger and fear are two different things. We can be aware of danger. Absolutely. There are dangerous situations. Yes. There are places that we shouldn't go to because they're dangerous. Yes. I'm going to avoid putting my hand on the hot stove because it's dangerous. Totally. So we can be aware of danger and we can try to mitigate the danger. We can take steps to either avoid it or mitigate it. That's very practical. That's very good for our survival. It's a very healthy thing to do. Yes? But fear is optional. We can be aware of danger and not give into fear at the same time. Yeah? Because fear does not help. Being aware of danger, I'm preparing, I'm protecting, from danger. That helps. But giving into fear and panic does not. As a matter of fact, it does the opposite. Yes? Fear shuts down the mind. Yeah? Fear does not allow us to think clearly. Yeah? It obscures the mind. Yeah? So there's a difference between recognizing danger and being afraid. Yeah? And please do not confuse anything that we're talking about here with not being aware of danger. Yeah, that's not what we're talking about here. We have to be practical. We have to be wise. Danger exists, and we must take steps to either avoid danger or mitigate danger. Yeah, that's totally wise thing to do. What is not wise is to give in to fear because of this result that fear clouds our judgment. Yeah. So instead of protecting us, fear actually could put us in additional danger because we cannot think clearly. Okay. It can paralyze us. Yeah. It just can paralyze us completely and make us completely unable to deal with the situations at hand. Yeah. So if we let fear get away with us, it could just block our mind, block it completely, and not allow us to have a good response. Yeah. So I'm going to tell you this story because this is just how I've been. What I'm sharing with you is things that I have worked out as a result of first my teacher's teachings, but also my experience with trying to apply my teacher's teachings. Yeah. So I am afraid of flying. I mean, it's just really embarrassing how afraid I am of flying. Of course, I get on the plane, but it's horrible. It's a horrible experience for me. Yeah, I cannot even look out the window. I cannot, for the life of me, look out the window because just any validation that I am suspended on the air causes me great panic. Yeah. And I allowed myself at one time, not too long ago, to be on a plane where we experienced turbulence. Yeah. And I entered a complete panic state. I started shaking. I couldn't control my breathing. I was so cold. I think my blood pressure dropped. Yeah. And this is really when I started to notice all of the rumination that I had going on in my mind about what could go wrong. Yeah. All those ruminations that I spoke about earlier, it's what was going on in my mind. And I noticed that this was happening even before I got on that plane. So the reason why I got into such a horrible panic state, I mean, I had a horrible panic attack, was because my rumination and my fear started working on my mind way before I got on that plane. I already started thinking about this plane's going to crash. I'm going to die. This is going to go wrong. I mean, I already had that whole picture in my mind before I even took a seat on that plane. And then, of course, as the plane started moving and then we got on the air and then we found turbulence, well, that was just all more feeding that whole panic. And then it was just my mind plunged me into that state. Yeah. where my whole body and mind were involved. It was just horrible. So, and of course, if there had been an emergency at that moment, I wasn't gonna be able to function well because my mind was gone, my body was gone. I had no way to control what I was doing. Yeah. So then we have to look at what is this fear? Where does it come from? Yeah. What is it? We have to understand the fear in order for us to be able to overcome it. Yeah. So as I mentioned, fear is an afflictive state. And the root of that is ignorance. Yeah. And we fear anything that we don't understand. And we fear anything that interferes with our happiness and the happiness of those that we love. Yeah. And as I said before, fear is related to aversion. And aversion, believe it or not, is very much related to attachment. Yeah. And attachment has its own definition. Yeah. So surprise, surprise, the definition of attachment also involves exaggeration and projection. Yeah. But in the opposite direction. Why do we attach to things and people and situations and places? Because we exaggerate good qualities or project good qualities that are not there. And then as a result of that, we don't want to separate from those objects, situations, people, etc., because we think they're the cause of our happiness. Yeah. So when we're convinced that something is the cause of our happiness, we definitely don't want to be parted from that. And we generate aversion to anything that might cause us to be parted from those things that we believe are the source of our happiness. Yeah. So the more that we are attached, the more we fear. The more that we're attached, the more we generate aversion. Yeah. And here comes one of those basic points of our confusion. Because we are convinced that our happiness lies in everything that's external to us. Yeah. That all those people, all those situations, all those material things, that they are the real cause of our happiness. And we are convinced, of course, intellectually, yeah, I am sure all of us intellectually say, no, I know that, I understand that they are not. But how deep does that understanding go? Yeah. And then when we start generating aversion, we realize, okay, that understanding doesn't go that deeply. Understanding is merely intellectual. And so we have to work with our mind so that understanding is very deep. And it becomes just how we see things, how we experience. It just becomes automatically how we experience the world. And then attachment and aversion, well, will be not manifest. Yeah, will not manifest. We won't get rid of the root or the seeds of attachment and aversion with that method, but we can subdue a lot of that manifest by understanding. Yeah. So I was reading, about I don't know, probably you probably are familiar with Dr. Alexander Bergen, a long time student and teacher. And he has a website, which I really like to peruse once in a while. He's got some good stuff there. And so he says, he wrote on his one of his web pages. He says, the source of happiness lies within. When our minds are at ease, when our outlook is positive, yet also realistic, when our thoughts are turned with kindness towards others, we experience happiness. Yeah. And that happiness supports us with strength and courage, no matter what difficulties we face. Yeah. So if we want to be happy, then, as the Buddha said, we need to tame our minds. These are Alexander Bershin's words, not mine. I'm just reading. So that's the key. We have to tame our minds. Yeah. So taming our mind means overcoming the afflictions, working with the afflictions, understanding the afflictions. Yeah. And then generating love and compassion and wisdom. It's work. Yeah. It doesn't happen like by itself. We have to put some effort into it. We have to study, reflect, and meditate, yeah, on these topics to be able to generate this transformation in our mind. Yeah. So what he mentioned, those are the real causes of happiness, not all those other things that we're attached to. And we really have to understand that. Yeah. The cause of our happiness is not having the right president. The cause of our happiness is not having the right amount of money in the bank account. Yeah. It's not having the right car, house, education, you name it. It's not anything outside. Yeah. It's an inner experience. So one step towards reducing our anxiety, taming our mind, yeah, is really to work with our attachments. Of course, working with all of our afflictions, but in this particular case, working with attachment. Yeah. The things that we're attached to, beginning to understand what is it that we're attached? Why? And how can we start to reduce that? Yeah. Because we are attached to everything. Really, we're attached to our body, to our views, to our healthcare, and not to mention the people in our lives. Yeah. So, in order to reduce attachment, we have to meditate on impermanence. Yeah. We have to meditate on impermanence. We have to understand the uncertainty that is the nature of our life, of cyclic existence. Yeah. So we're almost ready to finish our session, but I am going to give you some food for thought so that you can think about this and reflect about this between now and the next session, when we maybe will talk a little more about impermanence, right? So these are not my words. These are Shantideva's words. Shantideva is so amazing about impermanence. And I want to share these words with you so as something that you can reflect on in the next few days. And he says, this is the second chapter of A Guide to a Bodhisattva's Way of Life. He says, my foes will become nothing. My friends will become nothing. I too will become nothing. Likewise, all will become nothing. Yeah? Just like a dream experience. Whatever things I enjoy will become a memory. Yeah? Whatever has passed will not be seen again. So let's reflect on that between now and next time. And then we'll pick it up with impermanence when we come back. But first, I want to do a little recap of the antidotes that we've covered today so that you can just have them real clear in the mind. And then you can have a chance to experiment with them, apply them, use them, and then see how they work for you, okay? So the first one was rejoicing, yeah? Then we talked about observing the mind and then stopping the rumination, the exaggeration, the projection that cause anxiety and fear. And instead, let's think about all the good things that are happening in our life, everything that's going well. Yeah. So let's try to also do that. cutting all the bad stuff and replacing it with all the good stuff. And then we talked about reducing the amount of time that we spend talking about the horrible things, the horrible future that awaits us, all the bad news, all the speculation. And instead, if we have to talk about something, let's talk about good things. Let's talk about everything that's good everywhere in the world, in our lives, in our country. Yeah, everything that's beautiful, the Dharma. Yeah. And then we're gonna also then talk about our body, notice our body, and be connected with the body and relax. Do this exercise of relaxation when we feel tension and agitation. Just relax and calm the body. So this is the tools that we have right now that are immediate, that can give us some relief immediately. So we're gonna use them for the next few days, and then we'll see how that goes. Okay. So we're gonna dedicate all this. Let's rejoice that we have this opportunity. Let's rejoice that we have this opportunity, which is so rare in this world. And all this positive energy that we have generated, let's then dedicate it, okay? Using this prayer. So may whatever virtue I have collected benefit the teachings and all transmigratory beings. And in particular, may it cause the essence of perfect, pure Losang Drakpa's teachings to shine forever. May the precious supreme bodhicitta not yet born arise and grow. May that arisen not decline, but increase more and more. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All-powerful Chenrezig, Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. And for the swift return of Lama Zopa Rinpoche, peerless teacher and assembly of the children of the victorious ones, Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas, victorious Losang, father and sons, along with the lineage masters, all the objects of refuge of infinite lands, please bestow the virtue and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now. Holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teachings through explanation and practice, you wore the armor of patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable Venerable Guru, to you I make request. While striving single-pointedly for the sake of the victorious one's teachings, the sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge, and from other living beings, you suddenly departed to peace. What a great loss! Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of the blessings of the ocean of the three jewels and the great waves of bodhicitta of the children of the victorious ones, may the smile of a reincarnation swiftly beam in glory for fortunate disciples. Okay, my friends, it has been such a wonderful time with you tonight. Thank you for being here. And we'll see you next Sunday at the same time.